Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Andrew Snorton with Creative Community Solutions. And as you know, we do coverage of a wide range of events from sports, government and politics, and even writing. And every once in a while, we get a chance to connect and do these great chats with some great people doing great things. So I'm really excited to have a chance to chop it up, talk it up with Michelle Jackson, who is doing some amazing work with Black Writers Workspace. Michelle, how are you doing this morning?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for taking time out of your busy, active, creative, energetic, engaging schedule. Before we talk about some of the moving parts, give us a point of reference where you're originally from and where you're based out of.
Oh, wow. That's a long story. So, I am originally from Fairfield, Alabama, which is a town outside of Birmingham, Alabama. However, I live in New Orleans, Louisiana. I am a military wife. My husband just retired after 28 years in the service last year. So, this was our last move. So, we've moved around all over the US and decided to make New Orleans our home.
Awesome, awesome. So the 504 is awfully happy to have you and your family there. Now, reading, writing. I know, we grow up in whatever preschool, elementary school, all that. Reading's a part of what we do. What would you say, was there a key book or a key moment where it really pivoted you to invest more into your reading, your writing gifts, and just your overall love for, literacy, reading, and learning?
I've always loved books. I grew up reading a lot, probably too much, so much so until my mother would be worried about me because I was fascinated with the Holocaust and I was fascinated with the Civil Rights Movement. And I was always reading these really intense books. The first chapter book that I read on my own at 13 was the autobiography of Malcolm X. It changed my life. Now, mind you, it was a dare from a boyfriend to read it. But once I read it, it really changed how I saw the movement, how I saw myself as an African American person. And also, it made me want to write. Although, my entire life I wanted to be a writer, but I grew up in public housing. And so, I grew up around people who were just keeping their head down and working. And so, when it needing those mentors to help me to move a career forward in writing was tough. But I had a teacher at Fairfield High School who was my English teacher. And I remember she would record us reading poetry. And I wrote a poem and I read it and she loved it. And so she just took an interest in me. And what she did was she registered me to be a part of a writer's workshop at the University of Alabama, and it was for minority students. It was sponsored by Dow Jones. And I remember I'm 15 years old and I get to go to the University of Alabama. I think it was for a week. And I'm with all these kids from all over the country and we're writing. And I knew then, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is it.
That's awesome. And sometimes, like you said, it sounds like, when you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, that was that push. It didn't seem like a push at the time, but looking back, it's like that's what was needed for me to really tap in to, like you said, your love of reading, your love of writing, things of that nature. So now you have this love, this passion, this talent. What was next?
Wow. I went into the corporate world and I did what everybody else was doing. I got a 9 to 5. I didn't know how to have a writing career. I did write for the College of Arts and Sciences while I was in college. I started my company, PR Solutions, which I still have to this day. In college, I would do press releases for people and copywriting, and I was just all over the place. But when I came out of school, I became a banker, and then I ran shopping centers for years. I wrote policy for the state of Maryland. And then in 2010, I published my first book. And it was an interesting experience because my husband was in Iraq and I was working on this amazing legislative initiative for the state. And my downtime, I was writing this book that I started. And I started writing it after having a bad day at the office. And I started building this character. And I looked up and I had 75,000 words. And I was like, I'm gonna make this a novel. And so I started learning how to write dialogue and I got an editor and I just started really, focusing in on that. I didn't wasn't really interested in trying to get a big publishing deal because it didn't seem like something that was attainable for me at the moment. I really didn't know how to do it, to be honest with you. And so I self-published, and things took off from there. When my husband got back from Iraq, I walked up to him and said, "Hey, look what I did." And I showed him my book, and he was just floored. And we started marketing it, and it did really well and won some awards. And from there, I've always been writing, whether it's public relations, press releases, legislative initiatives. All these things had to do with writing. However, getting into it, on my own, meaning something that was for me, that I was doing, that wasn't for a client, that first book really set me in motion. And from there, it was just, I blog. I still have my PR firm, which I'm a full-time entrepreneur now. I've had my firm since 2013, and I just wrote and published my second book last year. So those are the things that I do around writing, and that all led to the Black Writers Workspace.
And I'm glad you shared with us like the process and the evolution. And even like you said, even though you kind of delayed with really tapping into it, even though, I mean, you were tapping into it, but now you're tapping into it for you and tapping into it for, others based on the work that you've done to find their voices and things
Mhm.
of that nature. Black Writers Workspace, I tell you what, it has, to say that it is growing exponentially is an understatement. Walk through with us basically what was your view or perspective in regards to getting Black Writers Workspace set up, and did you see this coming? Like, did you think this was going to come, like you knew it was coming, or it's like, oh my gosh, like this really is coming?
No, I like to do creative things. I have a youth entrepreneurship program. I work with kids. I have my company. I'm writing books. And so I'm always looking for something fun to get into. And I like streamlined process. So I like the fact that you can integrate technology and make a process easier. One push, one click, and you're in. And so what happened was last year at the beginning of the year, I had already planned to release my book on February 14th. And I was so excited, but I knew that in order to sell the book, because as a self-published author, you've got to get out there and you've got to
Yes.
promote, promote, promote. So I'd already laid out, I had about 4 or 5 different book events I was going to be in, and I was just planning my year. We dropped the book on February 14th, and then March 14th, a month later, we're at home because of a pandemic. And as a writer, who's planning for that? Who's thinking about there's going to be a pandemic? Get ready. And so I started, I was very frustrated, didn't know what to do, really wanted the book to do well. It took me 8 years to write it. So that was another thing, is that it was so much of my time and energy and to write this book. I really wanted to do well. And then we're stuck at home. And so I said, well, I'm going to, I was, because of what was happening with George Floyd, there were so many different private Facebook groups that were coming up. And I started to join some of them. This was my first time ever joining these groups on my own. Friends will send them to you. You may just go in and from time to time. But I decided to start the Black Writers Workspace because I thought it would be great to have a space where Black writers can just literally come together and talk and connect and share resources and talk about marketing, talk about the pandemic, all the things that's happening with us. And I have a few friends that wrote books, so I thought for sure that I would get 12, 13 at the most, maybe at the most 100, I'll say. But I started with about 12 or 13 people, just sending out a message to them. And they were like, yeah, we'll join, not a big deal. And I started posting, and it just took off. We have over 8,200 people as of today in the group. We are approving well over, reviewing probably 200 a day, approving maybe about a half of them. We started doing a number of things surrounding the whole Black Writers Workspace. One was events, because part of what I do as a PR person is I host events. And so with the virtual events, we started to do things like we have a virtual book fair, we have a writer symposiums, we have a roundtable discussion every month. I do a weekly newsletter. We have an online authors catalog so people can put their books in there and sell them. And the page has kind of taken off because there's so many self-published authors out there who need a platform to not only, promote their work, but also to learn how to do it better, how to do it, the right way, or how to find an editor, how to create a dynamic cover. We are, we're there for each other, and it's such a positive space. And I'm so excited because of that.
And I tell you what, you started it with simple and straightforward intentions, and you still have those intentions, but like you said, you were thinking 12 to 13, maybe 100, and now basically a year later, over 8,200 and counting. And that's letting you know you're providing a necessary and needed space, like you said, for fellow authors, editors, even other people who are doing festivals. So it really is a hub for different members of the literary community. And that leads me into what's coming up next. So the last weekend of July, July 30th through 31st, this event is really, to me, an extension of the work you are already doing with the roundtable talks and the newsletter and things along those lines. So walk through with us what's taking place July 30th through 31st. Yeah, just go ahead and let it go.
Well, I'm so excited because we, at the beginning of the summer, we decided we wanted to do an event, and this will be our third virtual book fair, but we wanted to do something a little different. So we decided that we were going to do the Summer of Writing events, and they are two back-to-back events. One is Friday, July the 30th. It is our virtual book pre-launch party and book fair, and it is a party because so many writers published books during the COVID, and so many writers actually were trying to market their books during COVID. And it was tough. Okay. It was really tough. And so we're calling it the relaunch party because of that. We're going to celebrate all these books that are out on the shelf that need to be celebrated. All these authors who were stuck in the house and couldn't get out, and couldn't go to the church events and sell their books, and couldn't go to the mall and sell their books. And so we're going to celebrate that, but we are also going to have this dynamic author lounge where you can actually go into this particular lounge. You can meet with the authors live, just like I'm talking to you on Zoom. You'll be able to click into their chat room and talk to them about their books. Now, how amazing is that, to be able to talk to an author anywhere, all across the country, and talk to them about their work. And then you can buy the work. You can buy it directly from the author. So you're not buying it from the Black Writers Workspace or from me. You're going to buy it directly from the author. So that's Friday night, and that's from 5 to 9 p.m. Central Time. All you have to do is go to boothcentral.com, and you will find the event, the Black Writers Workspace Book Relaunch Party and Book Fair. And you can register, and it's free. It is free, 100% free to register. And when we have a book fair, I don't know if you've participated in any in the past, but they're a lot of fun. Okay. We have music, we have games, we have interviews. And so we will have the live stream going, and then we'll have the exhibit hall going, and you can go and meet all these authors and buy books directly from them. So I do invite everybody to go out, and please register and tell everyone to come out. If you want to support writers, particularly new and independent authors, this is the place to do it. We have over 25 authors already registered, representing well over about 75, probably 75 books. So this is excellent thing to get involved in. Secondly, on Saturday, which is Andrew is going to participate in both events, but Andrew is also going to be one of our speakers for our first virtual writer symposium. And that event I'm so excited about because I've been wanting to do a writer symposium, but I wasn't sure if we could pull it off because there's so many workshops out there, so many different things happening. But what's so great about the Black Writers Workspace is that we are a community of writers who understand what it feels like to do it all yourself, to have to do every piece of it yourself. And so I tapped into the talent from the page in order to pull together a list of speakers, people who have published 16 books and 18 books, people who are doing things like you're going to be talking about audiobooks, which is a topic I'm really interested in. So we're going to be talking about how to write poetry and nonfiction and fiction, how to create audiobooks, how to create, be entrepreneurs. We're going to be talking about leadership skills. We're going to talk about our key topic, which is why Black writers matter, and the future of the publishing industry. And so that is Saturday, July 31st from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Each session is only $25. And if you use the promo early bird, you can get 50% off of that. You can come in, you can get a full day pass, a half day pass, or you can just go and purchase one session. If you want to come and see Andrew, you can just come and see Andrew. And it's really simple. We're using Zoom, so we're going to make this as simple as possible. Hit a button. Most of us have used Zoom. And so it's going to be really easy, really simple, but it's a whole day of sessions. And it's 14 of those sessions with over 20 speakers. And they're just going to wow us. They're going to really educate us and help us to take our work to the next level.
And you know what? I'm glad that you're doing this event. Number one, it's needed not only just for authors to get connected, but so many of the other moving parts. That means different book clubs. That means just, readers, people who are thinking about making the jump. And I'm going to ask you this question. I know this is one that you ask, all of us. I'll say, what makes next weekend so important, and what makes the contributions of Black authors so important?
Well, let me start with Black authors. I mean, there are so many amazing Black authors out there, whether they're traditionally published or self published. And I think the world needs to know more about specifically those new and independent Black authors who are putting stories out there that are, in my opinion, healing the soul, their soul and the soul of readers everywhere. We're talking about issues that are real life issues. And, a lot of the work, because it's self published, doesn't get the credibility that it deserves to get. It doesn't get the attention that it deserves. If you don't get the big publishing deal, and a lot of times people don't know who you are. But to know that every day there are hundreds, thousands of people who are actually publishing books that are amazing books, well edited books, great book designs with a message in it. And we want to make sure that people get an opportunity to connect with those writers, learn about those writers, and to support them. I am a big believer in, the literary world. I think, books sustained me as a little girl. Those were the things that kept me going. And even to this day, with my son and my family, there are just books all over the house. And it's something that I'm just extremely passionate about. So the Black Writers Workspace, the meaning behind just really focusing in on helping us is the fact that unfortunately the industry is still rather biased. There are biases in the industry. And so the fact, there are so many of us who are doing good work, but we can't get the attention and we can't get the big deals and we can't get the big pay. And that's okay, because most of us aren't writing to get rich. We're writing because it's our God's, given talent to do it. However, giving us a platform where we can come together and learn from each other and take our work, like I said, to the next level is very important to me. And what's important about next week is that next week adds another layer to what we're trying to do with the Black Writers Workspace, which is to create a community and to create avenues where writers, particularly new and independent writers, can promote and sell their work. Because we do want to sell our work. We do want to have an audience and a fan base. And so when I published my first book in 2010, I knew nothing about publishing. I literally wrote it and just sat there with it and was like, okay, what do I do now? I had no, if you Google what to do, you're going to get a million things, get an agent, get a publisher, do this, do that. I didn't know which direction to go in. So I started asking people and getting advice. And the advice was, okay. It was kind of, oh, well, maybe you should do this and maybe you should do that. I wanted to make sure that no one else would write a book and not know which direction to go in because they don't have a community of people who can give them, advice. And, and that's what we do on the page. We give each other sound advice about what to do next. The question that comes up to the most, and this is, how do I self-publish? And you may say, oh, all they have to do is Google it. No, it's not that
It's
simple.
not.
It's just not that simple. There's so much information out there until you find yourself walking in circles, literally trying to understand what to do. And so I want to make sure that for anyone who wants to publish, and this is not just a Black thing, but just across the board, anyone who wants to publish, that they that there's information out there that they can use, that there's good information out there that they can use. But what's so dynamic about the page is the positivity. And you and I both know that when you become an artist, it's a lot of people who aren't going to support you, you know? So it's like having that community to build you up is important. So next week is all about taking our, just adding another layer to all the resources that we're trying to provide with the Black Writers Workspace, so that we can be, in my opinion, comprehensive in our approach to helping people, with getting their books out there. I don't want to just do one thing. I didn't want to just have a book fair. I want to make sure that there's an educational component to it. I also want to make sure there's an opportunity for people to, put their books in our author catalog and those types of things. And within the next couple of months, hopefully by Christmas, there's going to be another huge announcement of another thing that we're trying to do with another entity of it that I think will be exciting for the people on the page. So yeah, we're so much more than just a Facebook group.
Clearly, and I'm sure, and like I said, it's great that you're putting that little seed out there. It's like, stay tuned because there's something big coming up during the winter. Before we wind down, please remind people, number one, the dates and times for next weekend's festival and how they can get plugged in for both Friday and Saturday.
So Friday is the virtual book fair. To register, it is free. So what you need to do is to go to Booth Central, Booth, that's BOOTH Central.com. And you can find our event, which will be on Friday, July the 30th, from 5 to 9 p.m. Central. You can also join the Black Writers Workspace page, or you can find us on Instagram or Twitter, and you can find those links to our event on boothcentral.com. On Saturday, you can always go to Eventbrite and look for the Black Writers Workspace Writers Symposium. Or once again, you can go to our social media pages. And that event is from 9 until 4 p.m. Central. You can go in and out if you like. You don't have to log in and stay on the whole, 9 to 4. It's a long day. If you want to only come and see a few sessions, that's fine. But if you want to see that agenda, you can go to my website at authormichelledjackson.com. You will see the agenda for the event. You can also see the agenda on the Eventbrite page. You can also find out about all of our speakers on my website. So we're doing a couple of things around this particular event. But right now, if you're just looking to register, registration will stay open until around Thursday for the Saturday event. Use early bird promo code for 50% off. And that means that you can see Andrew for $12.50. And all of this money goes towards something else that I didn't mention before, which is our Chapter 1 writing competition. We are going to announce the winner of this year's Chapter 1 writing competition at the Friday event. And so we give $500 to our top prize winner and $250 to our, that's for fiction, nonfiction, and $250 for our poetry winner. And we have amazing beta readers who have been working with us. And I'm excited to announce the winner. And that's going to be another dynamic, piece. And it's another piece of the puzzle. So Friday night, July 30th, that is 5 to 9 p.m. Central, boothcentral.com to register for free. Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time. And you can register on Eventbrite. And that is the Writers Symposium.
And I tell you what, this is really shaping up to be something amazing. And I know oftentimes I say when you're supporting me, you're supporting some other great things. So for people coming out, especially for Saturday, know that what your money's going towards is really helping develop and cultivate that next generation of writers. Next to last thing, remind people how to stay connected, websites, social media, things along those lines.
You can always join us on Facebook, which is our private group. That's the group that has over 8,200 members in it. You can just go to Black Writers Workspace in on your Facebook and join the group. We do have to approve you. to participate. I can give you one hint. If you will need to have a picture on your Facebook page in order to get in. So we do filter out to make sure that we're getting the right people on the page. And I do look at every work, every page in order to make sure that it's the right mix, because we want to have like-minded people to participate. But you can always find us on, like I said, Twitter as well as Instagram. We have very active social media pages. For information about the Black Writers Workspace, the easiest way is to go to my personal author page, author Michelle D. Jackson. .com. Over the next couple of weeks, we will have a website for the Black Writers Workspace. And then when you go to my page, you can see a lot of what we're doing. We've got a podcast, and we are always looking for people to interview. We have the monthly roundtable. It's called the Pen Posse Roundtable, and Andrew has participated on that a couple of times. It's a lot of fun. It's like 8 to 10 of us, and we're just taking a topic and just really, getting into it, getting into the heart of it. And then we have a weekly newsletter that goes out every Thursday. If you're interested in promoting your books in that newsletter, you can do so, and you can find all of that also on my page. And then, wow, I mean, so much other stuff that's happening. And then we have the author's catalog. You can always get involved in that as well. And we have our a chapter one writing competition, and we're probably going to do that again in a couple of months. And finally, we have a new gift box, which includes our signature t-shirts and pens and notepads, and you can always order one of those from my page. So please go to author Michelle D. Jackson in order to learn more about the Black Writers Workspace. But in order to join the Facebook group, just come on in and join us. We would love to have you.
Well, I tell you what, number one, thank you for taking time out of your schedule and your moving parts. Number two, thank you for being such an advocate, for fellow authors, readers, book clubs, just creative spaces where people can come together, share and exchange, and the adage build as we climb. That's exactly what you're doing. And like she shared, ladies and gentlemen, get connected, stay connected with the great work that they're doing. If you're an author out there, not trying to tell you what to do, but I would strongly encourage that, like my grandmommy say, come see about them, because they're really doing some good things. And again, you have the info for next weekend. Definitely be a part of it, or if you can't be a part of it, chances are you know someone who needs to. So please share the information. So we're going to go ahead and close this out. Ms. Jackson, thank you so much once again. Continued well wishes with all of your individual and collective projects, for today, next weekend, and beyond. And that everybody has taken time to watch and read. Thank you for supporting. And these are the things we want to continue to do. All of you, take good care. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Take this information, do something constructive with it. Share it. Please share it freely. On July 30th from 5 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, make sure to go to Book Central and join Black Writers Workspace as you get a chance to connect with the booths of all the authors. So connect with each and every author virtually to find out more about their books and other great work. Make sure for Saturday to get your tickets for the symposium. Remember, when you visit the site listed, enter the code EARLYBIRD to get 50% off of your registration fee. Thank you so much for supporting this event. We look forward to seeing you next weekend.